Welcome to Mattis Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. And if you can hear the noise on the highway, I think it's a band or some kind of procession. Let me start with macro thoughts. The Federal Reserve's Janet Yellen boosted December rate hike expectations to greater than 70%. Although she said gradual hike should continue despite weak inflation, but on balance the market took it that this December rate hike was largely a given. My home thoughts start today with a quote from Victor Hugo. "There is nothing like a dream to create the future," he said. I like this photograph, morning rush in the Maasai Mara from Kenya Pics. Last night, Dad said to me, "Play me some Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto No. 1." And I said, "Look, I can find you anything on YouTube." So I played it to him. And Sandy Zach, who's become my astro traveler friend, tweeted me a photograph because I tweeted him of one of Lake Magadi. And he said, "Wonderful, here's another picture of Lake Magadi," and it's a wonderful one as well. And here's one from the air, from Assafe. This is Lake Naivasha. We have these extraordinary lakes all over the country. I like this photograph, brother and sister trying to race a train on their horse in Chiapas in Mexico. And then this footage from the National Geographic. A zebra narrowly escapes the jaws of one predator only to be caught by another. It's really dramatic. Take a look. About a minute and a half. Political reflections. New Zealand First Leader slams fake news, won't rush to endorse government. And that's seen the New Zealand dollar trade a lot lower, actually. Where are we now? We're just below 72, having been above 73 not too long ago. The Saudi King Salman has issued an order allowing women to drive, implementation to be next June. It's amazing. Saudi women rejoice across the kingdom after driving ban is lifted. It is, in fact, forward motion. It's incredible when you think that we're in the year 2017 and Saudi women are trying to get the right to drive on their own. Trump says he's disappointed in a couple so-called Republicans. This is from Jennifer Jacobs. I like the photograph. "We don't know why they did it," he said, of the Graham Cassidy bill sinking. And also, White House immediately released a photo of Trump in the Situation Room during a briefing on the hurricane recovery in Puerto Rico. Rolling Stone has a very interesting article, The Madness of Donald Trump, evening, August 22nd, 2017, a convention center in Phoenix. It's Donald Trump's true coming out party as an insane person. It looks like the same old Trump up there on the stage. Same boxy blue suit, same obligatory flag pin and tangerine comb over, same too long reddish power tie swinging below his belt line like a locker room abomination. Earlier this year, there were efforts to make Trump stop wearing his suit jackets open. Designer Joseph Abboud said buttoning up was a very visible way of showing he knows how serious the job is. But Donald Trump doesn't take advice, not even the gently and benign kind. That makeover was undone just as quickly as it was done, leaving the Donald with the same old tie-on, bulging duodenum look from the campaign. He even sounds the same now, kicking off the event with a go-to favorite, "What a crowd," he shouts. A week from now, he will shout, "What a crowd, what a turnout," from atop a truck in Corpus Christi, Texas, on the occasion of a deadly hurricane. But the embattled president who takes the stage tonight is a different man from the barnstorming revolutionary who ripped through the American political process a year ago. That Donald Trump enjoyed himself to an obscene degree. Watching Trump lean over a podium on the road to the presidency was like watching a stud bore hump a hole in the war. He said monstrous things and lied with stunning disinhibition. And when the civilized world recoiled in horror, he seemed to take sadistic pleasure in every minute, win or lose. The run was pure glory for him, a Sherman's march of taboo politics and testosterone fury that would leave a mark on America forever. There was one more thing. Candidate Trump may have been crazy, but it was craziness that on some level was working. He seemed to take sadistic pleasure in every minute, win or lose. The run was pure glory for him. And saying candidate Trump may have been crazy, but it was craziness that on some level was working, even at his lowest and most irrational moments, like his lunatic assault on the family of fallen soldier Humayun Khan, in which he raved to the grieving Gold Star parents about how it was he, Trump, who had made a lot of sacrifices. You could argue, if you squinted really hard, that it was strategy, kick to the base. Very interesting article. Can Tokyo's Governor Koike upset Prime Minister Abe in the snap election? She stole a minor march on Abe on Monday afternoon, announcing the launch of a new political party named Kibo no To, or Party of Hope. I think Abe has been very precipitate in calling the election right now, ahead of her ability to mobilize her brand new party. She is a popular figure. I'll put up a photograph of her, the Tokyo governor, and her party members. Interpol headquarters hosted President Xi Jinping, apparently. Mattis seeks deeper ties with India amid China assertiveness, US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis held talks with Indian leaders on Tuesday to deepen military ties, including the potential sales of US jet fighters and surveillance drones that experts say are aimed at helping it rein in China's influence in the region. Mattis is the first cabinet rank official to visit India under the Trump administration and was due to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Ties between India and the United States have rapidly expanded, with New Delhi buying weapons worth $15 billion over the last decade from the United States. The strategic underpinning of India-US defense ties is in the common concerns they have over China and over its revisionism. But I conclude that Xi Jinping is India where he wants it, surrounded. And I wrote a piece at the end of August called China Rising. And I was saying, apart from a few half-hearted and timid FONOPS freedom of navigation operations, China has established control over the South China Sea. It has created artificial islands and then militarized those artificial islands. It is a mind-boggling geopolitical advance, any which way you care to cut it. China has advanced its footprint in Pakistan, where it has leased the Gwadar port, giving it access to the Gulf region and the Middle East. That lease is for 43 years. Sri Lanka, which gorged on Chinese debt, has had to disgorge the Hambantota port to its creditor. And recently we saw China formally open a military facility in Djibouti. So when you take these moves together, they speak to a material Chinese advance, and that the pivot to Asia, which was supposed to contain China, is dead in the water, and that China has sprung that trap. And then I was saying about China that, China is also Narendra Modi's face in the Doklam Plateau. And I said it was as if Xi Jinping was goading Narendra Modi. And I was saying he would have been seriously ill-advised to take on the Chinaman in that remote plateau. Japan just killed 177 whales in their annual hunt. I wish they wouldn't. International markets, Europe needs to be an economic and monetary power, as Macron said. The Europe we know is too weak, too slow, too ineffective. Europe can assure real sovereignty, our ability to exist in the world today, he said. Euro-dollar has been on the back foot lately. We're last trading at 117.57. We could fall as low as 114.50. This is on the strengthening perspective that Janet Yellen is going to step up. Currency markets, let's take a look. Euro dollar 117.57, dollar index 93.26. And remember that level of mine from way back, 93.50. If we regain it, I think we've got a bottom in the dollar. Japanese yen 112.70, Swiss franc 0.9730, the pound after sort of getting above 136, 133.95. The Australian dollar 0.7857. India rupee 65.725, South Korean won 1140.76, the Real 316.72, Egyptian pound 17.67, and the South African rand moving further away from the 1300 level is at 1340.58. The Bloomberg dollar spot index has touched the highest in a month. Dollar index, I'll put up a longer term chart, looking to regain that key level of 93.50, which I've spoken about. Twitter is to test doubling its tweet length to 280 characters. Holger kindly put up a comparison between Facebook and Twitter's share price performance. Let's play a game, says David Inglis. Which one is the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index and which one is the Chinese tech giant Tencent? Definitely a mea culpa moment when it comes to oil. Brent crude oil hit its highest in over 2 years yesterday. That's from Jamie at Reuters. The average price over the last 20 years has been $59.52. But I was looking back at the charts, and I think Brent goes as high as $62.50 on this run. WTI was last trading at $52.14, and really looking for around 55, I think, on that. Gold, that's come off 1292.63. Emerging markets, Dubai is the world's most popular destination for spending, with international overnight visitor expenditure of $28.5 billion in 2016. And this was a point I was making in 2014 when I said Dubai is the real transit state, a connection point in an interconnected century. Here in Africa, chaos broke out in the Ugandan parliament during an age limit showdown. 75% of Ugandan citizens are against this, but that has not stopped President Museveni before. Kabila drops a hint that he could contest the next elections, according to a former US ambassador. One-time Assistant Secretary for African Affairs Herman Cohen, 46-year-old Kabila, at a meeting last week, failed to rule himself out in the next elections. I met with Kabila last Thursday at his request to refuse to give me the assurance he will not run for DRC president again. Big disappointment, Cohen tweeted. Kabila remains in the cockpit, but everything is falling apart around him. Afrexim Bank is the lead arranger to secure funding for the repayment of $1.8 billion of arrears that Zimbabwe currently owes. Afrexim Bank provided a $200 million guarantee for Zimbabwe's surrogate bond note currency, will more than double that facility to $500 million this year. It also agreed to lend $600 million to help replenish Zimbabwe's foreign bank accounts. So they've been very supportive of Zimbabwe. Angola gets a new leader after 38 years as Lourenço is sworn in. The question is, will the new management bring change? However, given his perilous position as a hand-picked successor to a still omnipresent president, Lourenço is more likely to owe loyalty to the party and the backers that made him the candidate than the voters who elected him. They received 26 heads of state for that inauguration, among them President Putin, Theresa May, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Narendra Modi. So really big, strong turnout for him. President Jacob Zuma is seen here arriving in Luanda for the inauguration of President-elect of Angola. South African all shares up 8.72% this year. Dollar versus rand 13.40. Last, Egyptian pound 17.67, Nigerian all share up 30.05% so far this year, Ghana Stock Exchange up 35.11% so far this year. Mugabe's new round of money printing traps Mobius in Zimbabwe. Latest economic experiment is making Zimbabwe's stocks the world's best performer for all the wrong reasons. Little foreign investors like Franklin Templeton, JP Morgan and Alan Gray can do to escape. It's practically impossible for them to pull out their money. Interesting article there, do take a look at that. Kenya, here the opposition said, the president is saying the opposition is not ready for a repeat election, and I think that is correct, particularly because of the cost of it, and if you don't raise the cash, you're not going to be able to mobilize your voters, because I think a lot of voters are now fatigued. Raila Odinga gave a press conference yesterday, though he did not participate in the mass action, which was about 400 people from what I could see. The tragedy we face today, in which we have to confront before it consumes us, is not that elections were stolen, he said. It is that the IEBC, Jubilee, and a number of other local and international actors are determined to repeat that fraud. Yields on Kenya's 2024 Eurobonds climbed for a second day on Tuesday, bringing the increase since September the 1st court decision to 45 basis points. The Commission hasn't explained how it will deal with the opposition's demands to reconstitute its management, nor has it responded to the court's detailed written judgment delivered on September the 21st that faulted the Commission for declaring the vote result without the correct documentation. The vote would be managed by a fresh presidential election implementation team, Chebukati said. And this is the fundamental conundrum at the center of all this, in that the court was very damning. And the question is, does that mean you can just go and host it all over again and not make the changes that are required? And I think, that's going to be a key test for the IEBC. Maranga's already said, I'll knock it off if it happens again. Safaricom fights back over Raila Odinga poll claim. Safaricom has declared it is ready to be investigated after Nassar leader Raila Odinga accused it of working with a French digital security firm to tilt the August 8th election outcome in favor of President Kenyatta. Safaricom dismissed his accusations as reckless, callous, unnecessary, and warned that the allegations could endanger the lives of its members of staff and families. Safaricom is up 43.96% on a total return basis this year, and my price target for the end of the year is 32. We're currently at 26. I did an interview with Mr. Collymore a while back after his full year results. Take a look at that. It's short. It's worth having a listen. Britam has announced a proposed subscription for a 14.3% equity stake in Britam Holdings by Afric Invest, the third SPV1. This is Proparco, DEG, and FMO. So that's positive news. Britam is up 52.5% so far this year on a total return basis. French automaker Peugeot has started local assembly of its brands at Thika-based Kenya vehicle manufacturers. Nairobi all share rose 0.18% yesterday. It's up 24.51% so far this year. NSE 20 fell 0.46% yesterday, and that's up 17.16% so far this year. Thank you kindly as ever for stopping by.